In this experiment, the nesting of the interrupt is shown, in which two interrupts are used, timer interrupt and external interrupt 1. So therefore, to allow timer interrupt to be serviced while the external interrupt 1 is being serviced, two micros are defined, which is I enable and I disable. Building this program and stepwise executing. Port 1 bit 16 to 23 is defined as output. Using this function, the external interrupt 1 is initialized and enabled. Using these two instructions, the interrupt is rising edge sensitive. Using the pin select register for port 0, the external interrupt 1 is enabled. The external interrupt 1 is connected to the slot 1 of the vector interrupt controller. So therefore, its service routines address is copied into the vector address register of slot 1, as well as the channel 1 is selected or it is connected to the IRQ using this instruction and enabled using the enable register. Since the interrupt is generated, the interrupt service routines address is copied into the PC and it enters the interrupt service routine function. In this first, the interrupt flag is cleared, and using this macro, the nested interrupt is allowed. A delay is generated. The increment of interrupt count occurs, and I disables the interrupt nesting, and the dummy writing of the vector address is done to acknowledge the interrupt. This function is used to initialize the timer. Stepping into this function, these codes tell the timer to interrupt and reset on match at channel 0, and the timer is enabled. The timer interrupt is connected to the slot 0 of the vector interrupt controller. So therefore, the interrupt service routines address is copied into the vector address for the slot 0, as well as the channel is connected to the timer 0 interrupt and enabled using the enable register. The while loop is always true since 1 is written in the brackets, and this set of codes create a pattern of LEDs on the port 1. Each interrupt only ons one LED, and therefore a pattern is created. Running this code, the code can be analyzed using the logic analyzer as seen.